Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Sutton with MDI Prep, and we are here and excited to have one of our former students, now practicing dentist here in the U.S., who is going to share with you her journey to getting her U.S. dental license. And it is a journey that I think is going to inspire a lot of you who are out there watching. So, without any further ado, we're going to bring in Dr. Mahir to talk to you a little bit about her journey. Also, if there's some things that you want to ask her, we will open up the chat. The chat room will be open. So you can post your comments in the chat and we'll be sure to ask her. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Just want to make sure. Can you hear me? I'm going to call her Dr. Wrinkle because
Aw.
she's like my family. So you're gonna hear me call her Dr. Wrinkle. So anyway, how are you doing today?
I am good, Dr. Sutton. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. And how is the family?
Family is doing wonderful. I am spending some good time with them now, so it feels it just doesn't feel real. I don't know. I can't believe I still feel I'm still in school.
Oh my goodness, but you're not. Okay. So we're gonna jump right into it. Okay. So
Sure.
you came to the US in what year?
2009?
In
Yeah,
2009.
2009, like end of 2009.
Okay. Okay.
hmm
So tell me what brought you here, where you're from, and kind of what brought you here.
Sure. So I grew up in Pune, which is like a small town from Mumbai. So I'm sure everybody knows Mumbai in India. And then I got married. So that's how I moved here in 2009, like I think around June end of 2009. And I moved here, and basically that's how my entire journey started after I moved here. I had not done any research on, what dentistry here is, anything like that. So when I got here is when I started finding out more things about how I could get my license and what I could do.
So
Um,
so what
mhm.
so what made you what made you decide to make the move?
So my husband was living here, and he grew up here, and there was no way he was going to move there. So obviously I had to move here.
Right, right.
And it's, I think, in our culture too, when you get married, the girl moves to the guy's house. So eventually
Okay.
I moved here. Yeah.
So let's go back to India for a second. So you're in
Sure.
India, and did you always know you wanted to be a dentist?
No. I
Okay.
did not. So it's weird because I grew up in a doctor's family. So my brother and sister both became doctors. And then there's like a 6 to 7 years gap between me and my siblings. And they all were like, oh, it was just like a thing that I just followed their track. They took science, I took science, they went to med school. And I was like, okay, eventually I have to go to med school. But when I gave in India, you have to give like a boards to get into medical school. So
Uh-huh.
when I gave my boards, I didn't score that well. So when I went to the admissions committee, they were like, oh, you know what? You can't get into med school because you don't have that score. But
Hmm.
how about dental? We can get you into dental school. With your scores, you can get into dental school. And I was like, okay. So
Okay.
it wasn't something that I loved and I wanted to do it. I would say I joined dental school and then I fell in love with dentistry. So for me, it was the other way around. It was not something that I was always planning on doing.
I see. I see. I see.
hmm
So once you decided, okay, I'm in dental school now. Once you got in, did you feel like that's what you had been called to do?
No, to be honest, no. The first 2 months, I almost felt like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I know in dental school, the first 2, 3 months, you're like doing all the wax up. So you're
Uh-huh.
basically waxing a tooth shape out of like a wax block they give you. And it's very hard. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't feel I'm like, and I think I didn't have many good friends. So I wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't in a place where I wanted to do that. But eventually I started enjoying it. I made some new friends, and then I started like seeing dentistry from another aspect. And I think it was probably around after 3 to 6 months that's when I really started enjoying dentistry.
Okay.
And
Okay.
eventually when I started, we used to, the first year is where you go into the anatomy lab and you see like, basically you're doing dissections and all that. So it was kind of hard, but I think that's when I really started enjoying it.
So you graduate from dental school in India, and
Yes,
when you graduate, what do you do? Do you practice there?
I did.
Okay.
So I graduated around 2006, 2007.
Uh
So
huh.
I barely worked for like 2 years, and then 2009 I got married. So I
Uh,
just worked for about 2 years in India before
okay.
I moved here. Yeah.
Now, had you come to the U.S. before you got married? Had you ever been here before?
No, no.
Wow, wow,
I
that's
never
pretty,
thought I would. Like I had my picture in my mind that I would just get married in India, live in a big house, have a couple of maids around me, and I'll have like a nice 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. job. And
yeah.
so I had no plans,
No
not at
plan.
all, but
Isn't
no plans.
isn't that amazing how things work out, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
so you get here to the U.S. and when
Hmm.
you get here, are you already saying in your mind, "I'm going to get my U.S. dental license," or did you have this thought of, "I'm just going to be a housewife," or what did you think?
No, like all my ranks. So me and my husband had a courtship for 2 years until we got married
Mhm,
because he lived here, I lived there. So we got engaged, and then after a year we got married because we had a death in the family and we had to, postpone the wedding. But
mhm.
all while long, my aim like was very clear that when I come here, I'm going to pursue dentistry. So
Okay.
my husband really was supportive, and he would actually Google some things and keep sending me that, hey, there's a school here, maybe you can apply to this school or you can apply to that school. But I never thought of anything else to do apart from what I had, like being a dentist. I
Yeah.
never had any other
So
thoughts in my mind.
dentistry at this point was a part of your life.
Yes, it was very much
Okay.
a whole
All
part
right.
of my life. I was like, I don't think so I can give that up.
So now you're here. You got to get
Right.
your U.S. dental license, but there's some steps you got to take in order to get that license.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what is the first thing you said you had to do?
So I think when I moved here, it was initially was a culture shock, but thanks to my husband, since he's raised there, he just knew how to handle me. Like he used to like leave me alone in stores or send me out to like buy groceries by myself because I
Right.
was so scared and I was so nervous. But he really helped me get there and be bold, And I think that was a huge way where I started having conversations. I kind of like I would say improve my vocabulary,
Uh
and
huh.
then I started visiting a couple of stores around my house, and I told him one day, I said, "Hey, do you think I can start working in one of those stores just at the cashier because I think that's a fun job?" And he was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." So I started working there, and that was the whole point, was just to increase my vocabulary and just
Yeah.
knowing the lifestyle here and talking to many people, getting a little mixed up here. And I think that's where I actually started. I did not
So wait a
start with
minute.
any dental thing.
Wait. Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So you are a dentist from
Right,
India. You come to the U.S. and when you get here, to increase now you're already thinking I'm going to get my US dental license, but you're saying
right.
I need to increase my vocabulary. So you take
Yes,
a job as a cashier at a store.
yes.
Wow. You know what?
I did.
That right there speaks volumes about what kind of person you are. Because a lot of people would say, "Oh no, I'm not going to be a cashier. I'm a dentist. That a cashier, that's like beneath." You know what I mean? But
Right.
but that is pretty cool. So you worked as a cashier. Where did you
I
work?
did. So I worked at Ross, and it wasn't just cashier because they don't let you just work as a cashier. That's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
But they would put you, when the store is closing, they would put you in different sections, and you have to,
Yeah.
like, whatever the mess is, you have to clean it all up.
Mhm.
And I remember we only had one car, so I used to work in the evening. So the moment my husband would come home at 6, I would leave. So I would work from 6:30 to closing, which was like 10:30.
Uh-huh.
And there were times that they would put me in this shoe section, and I remember that I would be sitting there putting all the shoes and picking everything up, and I would say to myself that, oh my god, like, what am I doing? Like, I would feel like how you said, that
Yeah.
was exactly what I felt at that point for a few seconds. But I realized that in that's the speciality about this country, that in this country no work is like, every work is regarded the same. So even if
Yeah.
you're picking out the trash or you're doing something else,
Mm.
it's just regarded the same. You're working, it just, that's all matters. And
Wow.
eventually I was like, no, this is good. And it really helped me because um, I used to understand the importance when you go to stores, how you have to respect the people who are working there, because it's not an easy job what they're doing.
Right.
And I just did that. I continued doing that for like almost couple of months, or I think close to a year.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
So now your vocabulary is increased. You're starting. You're feeling more comfortable with the culture. Now it's time. You're thinking to yourself, okay, I got to get my license, right?
Yes.
So what was your first step? What did you do first?
So I started. I didn't know anything how you're supposed to get your license here, but I started just putting on Google, and then I heard from a lot of friends that you could, in Texas, you could do RDA, which is like a registered dental assistant, and then you can
Um,
step into clinics and take X-rays, be like a chairside assistant, the dentist. And I did my RDA. This is probably 2010, early of 2010, and then I
mhm.
got my license, and then I started applying for jobs for an RDA.
Now, for those who may not know, because you say RDA, we may have some viewers out there may not know what
Yes,
RDA means.
it's a registered dental assistant. So
Hmm.
you basically do like an online exam, and then you get like a certificate that allows you to work as an assistant, a dental assistant, in the
Okay.
state of Texas.
Okay.
And then you
Gotcha.
do extra. I think you do like a X-ray exam, and that allows you to take X-rays again. But that's again only in the state of Texas.
Hmm. All right. So you got your RDA license
Yes,
and you started working as an RDA.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. What next? What did you do next?
Next was the big one. That's to give the national boards. I figured that out.
Dun dun
Um,
dun dun. All right.
yes, that was the hardest one. And I was like, okay, I need to give my national boards. So I started, I think it was like 2010ish. I started studying a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it's like, I wouldn't say it's overconfident, but I thought, okay, I'm already a dentist, and how hard would this exam be?
Right.
So and coming from India, like we are not used to multiple choice questions, because we do the essay writing questions.
Okay.
So again, to myself, I said, oh, how hard is that going to be? The answers are right there, and you just choose one option, so it shouldn't
Right.
be that bad. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I gave that exam, and obviously, things didn't go well. I didn't make it.
Well,
So I
no,
was like,
let's not skim over that. Look, everybody who's viewing you right now, they imagine them as your family and they need your help.
yes,
So
yes.
we're gonna put it all on the table. You took the exam and you failed.
Yes, I
All right.
did.
Now, let
And
everybody know. So
mhm,
75 is a passing score. For those out there who don't know,
yes,
on the NBDE, the 75 was a passing score. Also,
yes,
it's still the same passing score on the new exam. So what
right.
do you remember what you scored on your first exam?
Ooh, I think about 68 or 69.
68 to
Yeah,
69. Okay.
yeah.
Which means you weren't too far
I
away,
weren't.
but there was still a big gap in there.
Yes, and it feels pretty easy when you're there, because you feel, oh, you just have to jump from 68 to 75.
Yeah.
But that's hard. That
Yeah.
jump to there is hard, because
Yeah.
you you at that point feel you can do it. It's easy, but and that's how I felt. Like, okay, it's not going to be that bad. I'll be
Yeah.
fine. And then I was still doing my RDA, and I was
Yes.
still, because I wanted to have my RDA, so that when I apply to schools, I wanted them to know that I was doing something in related to dentistry, and not just doing
Mhm.
anything else. Then I started studying again, and I gave my exam. I think and then there's like a thing, when you fail, you have to wait for like 3 months
Three
or
months.
something, yeah, to
Yes.
give your exam again.
Hmm.
And it didn't happen again the second time, and
What did
that's
you
when I was
score?
like, I just jumped two ahead, I guess, probably 70.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
it
were
was
like a
like,
60.
I'm telling you, every time I gave my exam, I jumped like two, or
Okay.
like, yeah, something like that. And
Okay.
then I was at that point, I was like, okay, this is hard. Um, but I still was. I mean, I still didn't give hope, because there's nothing else I wanted to do apart than just doing dentistry. So I
Okay.
was like, it's okay. I'll still want to do it. I still was working. Then this one day, um, I met. I was working at. I had gone for a working interview at Lovett Dental, and
Okay.
I met another person from Mexico who eventually was also a dentist in Mexico, and he was working there as a dental assistant. And when I went there for a working interview, um, the dental assistants up there, everybody was there, they just didn't treat me right. Kind of like, how they just make
Yeah.
a group and put you on the side, and that's
Right.
exactly what they did. But this guy who was from Mexico was really, really nice, and I think he understood my situation because he was a dentist too.
Okay.
And he we just started having conversations, and then we spoke about boards, and he mentioned to me about this one person. He said, "You haven't taken his classes, you don't know." I was like, "No." And then he said, "That's Dr. Sutton." That's MDI prep.
Wow.
And then I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I took your number from him.
Yeah.
um and I think I did call, someone did answer, they did tell me everything, what the
Yeah.
fees was, what everything. But at that point, I spoke to my husband. I think financially we were not there, and we were like, he said, "You can do it, it's okay, try it again." And I was like, okay. So I started studying again, and then I think the third time when I did it, I still didn't make it. It was
Okay.
really hard, and that's
Okay.
when they put you, when you don't make it the three times, they put you on a thing of being, you cannot do an exam for 1 year,
For
and then
one
you,
year, right?
yes, and then you have to do it again.
So you
um
so just to kind of recap, so you had
mhm.
taken the exam 3 times,
Yes.
and then now you have to wait a year to take
Yes.
it again.
Yes, because I
Yeah.
didn't make it the third time too.
Right.
um and then that whole year, I literally just took a break, mental break. I did not study.
Hmm.
I At that point I was really upset that
Mm.
all this was happening, and I was just questioning myself, that
Yeah.
will I ever be able to get into school. And a lot of my
Hmm.
friends who were already here, who came from India, they all were in school. They all were telling me it will happen, it's a slow procedure. And I was like, I don't know. And I did
Hmm.
question myself, but I decided not to study that year. And I just took a break, went to India, spent some time with my family. When I got back is when I enrolled myself into MDI prep.
So that's okay. So you left for a year just to
Yes.
relax, get your mind
Hmm.
right, and
Hmm.
then when you came back, you still remembered us.
Yes, I
Wow.
still did. I was in touch with that person through
Okay.
Facebook, and I had
Yeah.
your number, and I asked him if he had taken your classes, and he said he
Yes.
hadn't. But I had the number, and I called you guys back, and I said, I'm going to enroll myself into MDI prep, and I'm just going to, I need to do this. And I did
Now,
enroll in
let me
MDI
ask you
prep.
this now, because you
Yes,
remember before you said like, so the finances were an issue before. So
yes,
so how did you do it? Because I mean, a lot of people are faced with the same kind of thing that you're faced with. Like,
yes,
I can't afford to do this.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
with me, I think I really worked myself. Like when I started working as a dental assistant, my first job, they paid me like $10 an hour. So I started doing that, but I started learning front desk. Like I would go in the front, since I had developed my vocabulary. Um, they liked that I knew a lot about treatment planning since I was already a dentist. So a lot of
Right.
offices would like my conversation skills, and they would say, "Hey, why don't you check this insurance?" And I said, "Yeah." So I would hang out a lot in the front, and I learned about like different insurances, and
Yeah.
how you deal with Medicaid, what's Delta, what's Cigna, and I
Right.
started answering calls in the front, and that's how I
Ah.
became cross trained. So then when I
Okay.
started applying for my second job, I did tell them I'm cross trained. So my from $10, they would pay me more, and I started getting a little bit more. So when I came
Okay.
back, when I before right before I went to India for like a month or two, um, I got a job at a very nice place. It's in Hedwig Village Dentist, just a husband wife office. The husband is a
Okay.
dentist, and the wife is the only one who does front desk, and they only have one hygienist. Very nice couple, very nice people. And when I started working with them, the wife needed help in the front, and I said I would be more than happy to. And I started helping her doing insurance confirmations, calls, recall calls, everything. And
So basically you save money by working, and then you use that money to pay for the
yes,
course.
yes. So I
Gotcha.
was making $20 there an hour, and I was working all 8 hours.
Uh-huh.
And then I used to go on Saturdays to do recall calls, and I used to work 5 hours. So whatever money I made from that is
Yeah.
when I spoke to you guys, and I said, hey, is it okay if I pay in like break. And
Right.
that's what I love MDI, because you are always for us. It's not all about you. You're always, and you said anyhow, whatever you feel comfortable. And that's how
Uh,
I could break it. And then my husband helped me a little bit too, but I worked and I did that. So, and then some days I would leave early to go to the classes, because I think MDI prep in the they were having classes at
that's
to
right.
8.
That's
So
right.
then I would work till 5 and then drive from there to attend the class. Yeah.
Wow, wow,
So
wow. So
yeah.
let's fast forward a little bit. So
Yes.
obviously you joined the MDI prep family and you ended up passing your part one.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now you passed your part one. What do you do next?
Then I applied. I applied to a bunch of schools, and I
Okay.
spent so much of money applying, because all those applications are super expensive.
Mhm.
I kept applying, applying, applying. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Like, I think they needed, I don't know what it was. Maybe there were a lot of other candidates who were better than me. Some needed part two.
Yes.
I didn't have my part two.
Yeah.
So there was
Now
like, I didn't. Mhm.
let me ask you this, and I don't mean to, because there are a couple questions that people are asking.
Yes.
So, how much do you think you spent applying to programs?
Ooh, a lot.
Just if you just had to give
Six,
a
seven, 10. I would say close to 8 grants. I would say minimum. A
just
lot,
so
a
you spent
lot.
at least 8,000 just applying to
Just
applicate.
applying.
Wow,
Because
wow,
then
wow.
every time my TOEFL would expire, because your TOEFL is only valid for like 2 years or
Uh
something.
huh. Uh
So
huh.
every time I had to retake my TOEFL, and it wasn't that easy, because sometimes when I did my TOEFL, I scored like really good,
Uh
and
huh.
then the second time I did it, I got a little less score, and then I'm like, oh
Um,
my god, I can't use my previous score, which was
right.
much better, and now I didn't do that good. So then that means I would pay again and do my TOEFL again.
So you
So
were
there was a
paying.
lot. Yeah.
Now, what was your GPA? You know, when they translated your GPA from India, do you remember what
hmm
your GPA was?
It was pretty good. I was like 3.89 or
Wow.
3.9. Yeah, it
So,
was good
so,
GPA.
so you had a good GPA,
I
and
did.
what was your TOEFL score? Do you remember what your TOEFL score was?
98, I suppose.
Okay, 98
Yeah.
was that was the highest TOEFL score you had.
That was my highest. Yeah. My TOEFL score, like everybody was shocked. Like, my English is good, but I would never score that well in TOEFL. And I don't know why,
Uh huh.
but I don't know.
So, how many programs did you apply to?
Ooh, a lot, Dr. Sutton. Every nook and hook of the corner of the like US, I would say. I just
Are
kept
you?
applying.
Wow, wow. Okay, all right. So now let's get to the point. Let's get to the fun part.
Mhm.
So, tell us how you got to be a part of the UT Houston Dental School. How did that happen?
So that happened is, I what I was doing was I was sitting at home and applying to schools. That's all I did.
Uh-huh.
But my husband kept telling me, you need to be a hustler, girl, you're not being a hustler. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
what does he mean by hustler? He keeps telling me that every day, you need to be a hustler. So
Right.
I actually went up and Googled what hustler means.
Oh
And
my
I need
goodness.
someone who's like, who's supposed to jump in. And then I asked him, oh, you mean I need to? He's like, yeah, you need to be a hustler. By just sitting here and applying, people
Yes.
don't know you. They only know you on a piece of paper. But if I meet you today and I see you as a person, I know your dreams, I know how passionate you are, and you need to go show that to the person, like go show that to the school. And the only school I had here was UT School of Dentistry. So then I started writing emails, and then Dr. Sutton, remember, you did it, let me know about Dr. Johnson, you
That's right.
mentioned his name. So I actually went to the school finding for Dr. Johnson, and then I met him. And then I just went going to the school for the whole year. I would just go to the school almost every other day, show my face, go talk to the students affair, ask them like, is there any open position, is some, and literally just did that, and that's how I got the preceptorship.
So let's talk about that because I think this is super important for those who are out there. Is because you said something very vital. Your husband told you, and I put that on the screen, to be a hustler, right? And
Yes,
a hustler is someone who really works hard to accomplish their goals. They go out and they don't just wait for somebody to give it to them. They go out and get it. And
yes,
so what you did was you did something that was important. You networked. You
hmm
said, "Let me make a connection." And
yes,
so you met with Dr. Johnson over at the dental school. And I will
yes.
say this: when Dr. Johnson met you, he called me and he told me she is a star. That was his; those were his words exactly. That she
he
is a
he
star.
he is amazing. He actually calls me his daughter now. Like every time, now that I'm graduated, but every time I used to go and he's an urgent care. Whenever I would go, he would tell everyone, "There comes my daughter." He's like, oh, he's a father figure. He's amazing, and
Yes, yes,
he really wants to help you. So
yes.
I had a lot of people who came up to school, and I would always introduce them to him, and I would always guide them and tell them whatever I know, how much ever I can help. I didn't have any help apart from you, Dr. Sutton, to guide me. So I
Oh,
just try to help as much as I can.
so okay, so let's get to the preceptorship.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the preceptorship at UT Houston Dental School and how you got. So we know you met with Dr. Johnson, but what did you have to do to complete that preceptorship?
So yeah, it was kind of hard because I wasn't sure what subject I want, like what course I wanted to do it. But then
Hmm.
I picked prosthodontist, which is one specialty of dentistry.
Hmm.
And then I think I started that in 2016, and I got done with it in 2017.
Okay.
It was a full-fledged course. The good part about that course was you are allowed to work on patients, which
Okay.
as international dentists you never get an opportunity to work here on a patient. So you are allowed to do that. So that was the biggest thing. And when I got that, I just knew that I really have to work hard and let everyone here know that I really, really want to pursue dentistry further. So I just worked hard, did my preceptorship, but also during that whole time, University of Texas School of Dentistry, Houston, does have an advanced standing program where they
Mhm.
accept a student if any of their first year student drops out.
Right.
So I had actually applied to their school every year, even if I didn't know if there was a position vacant or no. I just applied every year.
Wow. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
and
Time out. Time
yes,
out. You mean to tell me now? Let me ask you this: when you applied, did you have to pay?
yes,
So you had no idea whether there was a position available or not. You said, "I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to apply, and I'm going to have faith that one of these days they're going to say yes."
yes, yes. I
Wow.
just applied. I
Wow.
applied, and in 2017, I finished my preceptorship program in August, and
Mhm.
then I went to India
Mhm.
in November because I had
Okay.
done with the preceptorship program.
Okay.
I had kept my envelope ready for
Okay.
the application envelope ready
Okay.
because they open up application in January and they close in March, and I
Okay.
was not going to be back until January. And then in Jan, I told my husband, please go and mail that application in. So he did from here when I wasn't even here.
Yes.
um, and then around during the same time when I got back, I was still in touch with a lot of people at the school, and I would keep emailing my professors that I knew that, did you hear anything? Is there any position open? And everybody's like, no, no. And then one day, one of my professors emailed me and said, hey, I think there is open position, and I think it's only one. So you need to come and talk to someone at school and see what's going on. The next day I ran to school and I started asking, and they were like, oh, we heard but we are not too sure, and these are decisions that we don't take.
Yes.
So I was like, okay.
Wait. So
um
so you're saying there was? They said there was only one position.
yes,
And
yes,
how many applicants were wanting this one position
a lot. That time I think they told me there were 275 applications that they had
for one
for
position?
one. Yes.
So you said, "I'm gonna." What's that term you told me?
Hustler.
I am
Hustler.
going to. I'm gonna have to put that up there again. You said I am going to be a hustler, and
Yes,
I'm going to go up there and show them why I should get that one position. Wow! So you went up there and
yes.
talked to someone.
Um, so I went to the assistant dean, that's Dr. Cooley, who
Uh
is
huh.
like my mentor. He's amazing. I emailed him and I said, I gave him my background. I told him I was a preceptor at the school, and I said I really want to meet him because just get a little information on the program. And he was really kind enough, and he said, absolutely. How about you come this day? And I said, okay. Um, I went in. Our meeting was supposed to be there for like 10-15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but we spoke for 30 minutes, and
Oh, that's good.
it was just general talks, but I just conveyed my passion for dentistry, my love for
Mm.
dentistry, and just my entire hardships, that I just like how bad I want this and how much I'm trying for this. And
Did, did you have an did you have a specific appointment with him or you just walked in?
No, so he I emailed him first to give me
Okay.
an appointment, and then he gave
Okay.
me a time
Okay.
and a date, and I just went on that time and date. And he
Wow.
spoke to me. He was really kind. But he also eventually told me that this is not in his hands, and it's a big committee that takes decisions. So
Right.
he's not the one. And I said that's absolutely fine. I said I just wanted to meet him, and
Yes.
And then after a couple of days, I did get a call, like an email saying that I've been called for an interview.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yes. And
How'd you feel when you how did you feel when you got that call?
I had this crazy instinct telling me that this is it. Like, because I had never been called for an interview for any school. Like, I
Yeah.
had applied so many times and nothing had ever happened. And when this
Yeah.
happened, I just felt like I waited all this long, maybe for just this, and God just wanted this.
That's right.
Because whenever I was applying to every other schools in California, Chicago, in my mind, I wasn't ready to leave my son and my husband here and move to a different state to
Yes.
work. That wasn't me. I knew I couldn't do it, but I was still applying because I was like, what if something happens? Let's just see. But if it would have ever happened, I don't know if I was ready to go. So
Wow.
when this happened, I felt, oh my God, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
But they also had a bench test, and you have to pass the bench test
Okay.
for you to get selected.
Right.
So it
So
was, mhm,
so you passed your bench test, obviously.
I did. I
Yeah.
worked very hard. Like, I worked so hard because you had
Yeah.
to do like, you had to do a class two filling, you had to do a crown prep, you had to do a temporary, it's like a hand skill test, it's for the whole
Uh-huh.
day. Um, and I used to work at that time at the same people that I had mentioned to you, the husband wife.
Yeah.
So what I did is, like, I used to work with them till 5, and they were so kind enough. They let me use their dental office. So at 6 to 9 o'clock every evening, I was sitting and practicing there on those plastic teeth.
Oh.
Um, yeah,
So in terms of your bench prep, you kind of just did that on your own,
I
just kind of
did.
work. Okay, so you kind of worked on that, got that together,
Yes.
and
And
then
I had a couple of friends who were prosthodontists who were practicing. So
uh-huh.
whenever I did the preps and everything, I would ask them for their opinion on how my prep was, and I was getting
Yeah.
guidance from them. Whatever
Wow.
they would tell me to rectify, I would send them pictures of how my prep is and everything.
Have you ever heard of the comment or the statement that a closed mouth does not get fed? Have you ever heard that?
No, no.
Okay. And so there's this statement that we always say that a closed mouth does not
Mhm.
get fed.
Right.
And that means that if you don't ask, then you won't get fed. So for
Yes.
you, you were never a closed mouth. You were always asking and asking. And that's a good thing. Because so many people who, especially if they are like internationally trained dentists and they come to the US, they're afraid of the language barrier.
Hmm.
They're afraid to communicate because they're afraid of how they're going to be perceived.
Right.
But you are the light that we want to show that hey, if you want something, you got to ask for it.
Yes, and I learned that after coming here with all my struggles, because I used to never ask initially too. And I
Yeah,
realized if you don't ask it, it's never going to happen. You're
that's
never
right.
going to be able to ask, like, you have to ask your questions. And that's pretty much when I did my bench practice. I literally practiced because I knew there was only one spot. So I was literally practicing like that. Whenever they pick up
Uh-huh.
my prep has to be the best prep. Like, they don't even have to have a doubt in their mind that this is not good. Like, it has to
Right.
be like, this is it. So I kept practicing like a do and die situation, that this is it. It has to happen. So that
Mhm.
was pretty much like, yeah, I did my bench
Wow.
test. Um, and then
So
we,
so
mhm.
you did your interview, and the interview obviously. Look, if you interviewed anything like you're doing now with me, I know you killed the interview. So let's get to the part where you found out you got accepted. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, I was screaming, Dr. Sutton. I couldn't believe it. I was screaming. So
Where were
actually,
you?
when I did my bench test, after I did my bench test, I pretty much felt that I got it because I think I did really good in my bench test. Like, I
Okay.
did excellent. Like, I knew myself that I did a great job. I did a good filling. I had good contacts. Like, I, but I wasn't sure still because we were 9 or 10 people competing for the bench test, and there was one spot. So I still had my little nervousness, and I didn't know what's
Right.
gonna happen.
Uh huh. So okay. So you now did they email you and let you know
Yes,
that? Okay.
they email me that. I still have that email. I still look at it every now and then in the middle.
Oh
It was
wow.
in July, some July 14th or 15th that I
Yes.
got it. I still look at it
And
sometimes.
and and so when you do the advanced standing program, how long was that program at UT Houston?
So 3 years. You get into
Three.
the second year dental school. Yeah, it's not two. You do
Oh,
3 here. Yeah.
wow. Now, are you getting paid while you're in the program?
No.
Whoa. So wait a
No.
minute. So you got 3 years where you're not getting any money.
No. So it's like you literally going into dental school. You're being put into like with the second year dental students. So you're
Okay.
basically like one of their first year drops. So they put you with the second year dental students. So I
Okay.
graduated with the class of 2021 right now. The same second year students. I went in there and there was second, third, and fourth.
Gotcha. And
Mhm.
so going into your, just for those who may not know UT Houston, so when you go into your second year, you're already going into your, are you still in the basic science year or are you in your clinical
Yeah,
year?
we're still in the basic. We still have pathobiology and all that stuff.
Okay. So you still have that to do and everything
Yes.
like that. Okay.
Dental, yeah.
Okay. So now while you're doing this, are you able to get loans and things like that for school?
Yes. So you can get the federal loan, the federal
Uh-huh.
aid student loan.
Okay.
But yeah, for the school. But for the preceptorship, that was a private one. So I didn't get any loan for that one. Like I mean I
Okay.
had to take like my own thing. You couldn't
How much
get like
did you have to
the
pay for the preceptorship?
oh it's a lot. 40,000.
For 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they require all that at once, or could you break that up over?
Just one half, like one in 6 months and one in 6 months. Yeah.
Wait, so you had to pay 20,000,
Yes.
and then you had to pay 20,000 again.
Yes.
Now that and
And I
and when
have
you
that right now because I have to pay that back. So
now
that's the hardest thing.
now you know what the thing about that is that even when you do the preceptorship is not a guarantee that you're going to get into the program.
No, and
So
they keep saying
again,
that to you 1,000 times. They tell you that thing because they feel that we don't understand that. But they always keep saying that it's not a guarantee towards getting into school. But for me, I think it did help me a lot to mold me, to get me used to student life, and also like just knowing a lot of things here. Because when you come from India or different country, even the equipment that we use, like our dental chair,
right,
so many instruments, everything is so different. So
right.
all that just helped me. Like I think that whole year was like a learning curve for me.
So, all right. So we're gonna go for those who may be looking at the money issue, right? So let's fast forward. You've graduated. Now you have your US dental license, right?
Hmm.
On average, right? And you don't have to tell us no any exact numbers. What do you think somebody who's in your area of practice will average in a year in your area?
Close to 220, 240.
220, 240.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at what you spent,
Yes.
40,000 on your preceptorship. You spent, I don't know how much on our program. I forgot how much our
Mhm.
program. Do you remember how much our program was back then? I don't remember. But let's just say you spent a couple
But it
thousand.
was worth it. Like I think, and I joined you guys again for second boards too. Also,
That's right. That's
yeah,
right. So you spent at least 5,000 with us. So let's look at
yeah,
this.
close to it.
So 40,000 plus 5,000 plus 8,000 for your application.
Hmm.
So even with the most you spent, you'll make that back in a year.
Roughly, I mean, if you have like the school loan too, the school is a
Right.
little expensive.
Right.
So the school loans do add up, especially
Yes.
I mean UT Houston is not that expensive, but
Okay.
like San Antonio or any other California schools. And then
Yes.
again the school, the fees are different for like a resident versus like if you're on a visa or different issues. But the federal student loan gives you very minimum interest, so
Okay.
it's very, and they give you a lot of time to pay off.
Good.
They give
Good.
you like 6 to 8 months even after you finish school. So I haven't actually started working. I start working next month. So I literally took this time off and I haven't
Yeah.
been working. Yes.
So where
So
where will you be working?
I'm working at a clinic called Grand Lakes Dental and
Okay.
Orthodontics. It's about just
Nice.
15 minutes from my place.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's South Mason and Katy.
Are you excited?
I am very excited.
So let me ask you the million
Hmm.
dollar question. If
Yes.
you had to do this all over again and go through everything that you went through, would you do it?
I will, I think so. Because you know that feeling when you finished everything,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And how everybody, like my family who has trained me through the struggle, my friends who were in dental school when I was still struggling, when they
Yes.
all just messaged me this, that, oh man, I just love the way you were so stuck on it and you did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think I think you can.
Yeah. See, that's
It's
that's
it's a little hard, but when you finish it, the feeling that you did it, it's just amazing.
so. All right. So now, what I want you to do is, I want you to look right in that camera. Speak to. There are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of dentists or future, who are looking to get their U.S. dental license, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're wondering. They're going through the same struggles you went through. They're wondering how they're going to pay for these things financially. What are your words of advice to them?
I think I'll just keep it short. I think you just need to be a hustler because that's what I was. I think you just need to hustle. Just like whatever you aim on, you just have to do it. And then Dr. Johnson did always tell me one thing, that when you're studying or trying to do your boards, like I was splitting my time while working and doing my boards, and he kept saying don't do that, because when you start working, whatever minimum money you make, you're happy in that money, so your aim that you have, you forget that, because you're making money, and ultimately, when you start making money, you feel happy and you're like, you forget your aim. So he
Yes.
always said, like, focus on one thing. So I wish I could have done that differently.
Okay.
That And I do understand, like, you do need that money, but if you're studying, then you could like split your time, like just work about 3 days and then the rest of the day study. But I think if you just focus and do it, you will be able to do it. And then let's not never lose hope. I think hope is so important. Hope
Right.
is so important, and always be around people who are positive. I think that helped me a lot.
Yes. So let me ask you this. What do you think is the biggest lesson you learned from MDI prep outside of what you learned about studying or whatever? What do you think is the biggest takeaway that you learned from MDI prep?
It's like, just whatever happens, just get right back up and then just start again. And that's what happened, Dr. Sutton. I remember that so well when I failed that exam and I came to you and I was crying and I was like, what do I do? And you just told me one thing. You said, are you going to sit here and cry, or you're just going to, like, now close this thing, get right back up and start studying again? This is what you have to do. Or are you going to sit here and cry? What do you want to do? And I said, no, I want to start right up. And he said, okay, then we'll start tomorrow. And I said, okay. And that
Wow.
was it. And I,
That
I literally was
wow.
like, okay, we'll start tomorrow. So I think the fact about, it's happened to me, and I know it's happening to a lot of people, that you do get depressed, you do feel anxious, you have all these thoughts going through your mind. But ultimately, I think if you know what you want, you just need to be stuck on it. Don't give up, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen for sure.
Well, Dr. Wrinkle, let me tell you, I am so proud of you. We at MDI Prep are proud of you and so thankful that you chose us to come through and learn and prepare for your exams. And I am so thankful that I don't not only were you a student of mine, but you have become a dear friend to our family. Um,
Thank you, Dr. Sadin.
inviting us to Neil's birthday parties and everything like that. So we are really thankful for that, and we wish you and the family the best. And we thank you for sharing your time with everyone and your knowledge. So and we
No,
wish
Dr.
you the
Sarin,
best.
thank you so much. I don't think so I could have done anything of this without you. And I truly say, like, you were that mentor, that one person. I felt like when I came here, you were not there the initial years. So it was all rough. And then when I met you, everything just went good for me. And you were always there. You've been a part of our family. And we really, really appreciate you. And I really appreciate everything that you do for all the students like us. I mean, we just dream, but you actually make it. You make it reality for us.
Oh
So
wow.
I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And you're gonna come see my clinic sometime when I'm working.
I'm definitely
Yes.
I am definitely coming. I will come to see you for sure. But
Absolutely.
but look, thank you for taking
Thank
out
you,
this
Dr.
time.
Sutton.
Yes, and we're gonna talk to you soon.
Absolutely, Dr. Seven. Thank you so much. And then if there's anybody who wants, any information or needs anything, you can pass them my number. I would love to talk to them or share anything they need help with anything.
We will. We will. We will.
Okay.
Well, you have a wonderful day, and we'll
You too,
see you
Dr.
soon.
Seddon. Thank you
All right.
so much, Dr. Seddon.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, bye, Dr. Seddon.
All right.